Welcome, everybody, this week to the Damage Per Second podcast. It's week number 62. I'm JayborinoPlays, and I'm here with Brett and Keith. Introduce yourselves.
My name is Bert, and I'm the resident anime editor at the Damage Per Second podcast. I've watched 3 animes, and I'll continue to watch more.
He ain't lying.
It's me, Anubis67, and I'm really excited to talk about my favorite mangas.
Manga?
My favorite mangas are animes.
Our animes.
I only read mangas that are made into animes. Anyway,
hey, so a lot of exciting things. We've had so many great releases. We've talked about Zelda a lot, and I'll probably talk about it even more this week. But first, I'd like to go to Keith, because he said he's been playing, what was it? You've been playing Horizon this week, is that right?
Yeah.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah, so it was a couple different games I could start, Horizon, Mass Effect, or Zelda, but after watching Jen play a lot of Horizon, I was really itching for it. And so I started playing that. I haven't been disappointed. It's really, really good. I don't know, it just seems like... So first of all, it's totally beautiful, and I don't know if that's because they made it like specifically for the PS4, because obviously it's only on that platform, but or if it's just they took advantage of the hardware really well. But like the landscapes are really pretty. Like I would say it's even prettier than the Witcher 3, and that's sort of everybody's benchmark for like really, really pretty games. And I think it probably even looks better than that, if only by a little. And the characters look awesome, and the landscapes look mainly the landscapes, the creatures and stuff. It's just sort of like this big cycle of, the combat's really, really good. This big cycle of you just find, you're going around in really pretty landscapes, and then you find some crazy big monster that you've never seen before, monster robot, and then you like figure out how to hunt them, and so that's pretty cool. I'd say the characters, there's a couple good characters, but I'd say they're not like the main draw like they were for like The Witcher or something like that. And I don't think it's interesting because I don't think it's a super long game either. It's not short by any means, but for an open world game that, some of these games can be like hundreds of hours, this is, I think, pretty reasonable. Like you can kind of power through it, which might actually make it more accessible to some people. And they do certain things that make it less, like, they sort of streamline parts of it, and whether you like this or not, is up to you. But like rewards for quests that you just get, you don't get specific things generally. You'll just get, hey, you got a skill point, you got a generous reward box, you got a remarkable reward box, and then the loot in those is random. So it's, up to you whether you like that better or worse than just getting specific items, which can be kind of cool. But I think you just don't pay attention to the rewards as much. You just kind of roll through the quests, and I would say there's maybe not quite as many quests as certain open world games, but I think there aren't as many like fetch. They tried. It seems like they tried to eliminate things in open world games that people find boring. So I don't like. There's not like as many fetch quests and like bring it back. In fact, I can't. Like you almost never have to bring it back or whatever. It'll be like, hey, go save our squad of people who are out delivering this thing, and you just save them, and then you just get the reward right there and keep going on to your next thing. But it's a lot of exploration, some dungeon delves that are really cool, and the combat's awesome. That's basically what I have to say about it. And then I've been watching Jen play Mass Effect, and I'll say that, like, in terms of like how I talked about it last week, I was kind of worried. I think that someone said it right where they basically said, I haven't played Mass Effect 1, so I don't know, but they said like for its time, it's the weakest of the 4 of the series, but it's still a lot of fun. Like the combat seems awesome. The combat system, you can switch around the profiles, and the skills and everything seem really cool. They have new kinds of enemies. They have a lot more like flying enemies and things like that. And the coolest thing that I haven't seen talked about anywhere is like it's really about finding a planet for your people to live on. It's about finding the planets, seeing how hospitable they are, Like it doesn't. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it does eventually, but it doesn't steer you away from that mission. So you go visit a bunch of different planets, and a lot of them are really inhospitable. Like one's a desert planet like Tatooine, and I mean, it's really hot. There are lightning strikes. Like there's sort of this like the atmosphere. There's lightning all the time, and these like sort of weird gravity fluctuations. And then you slowly figure out ways to sort of terraform the planets, like each one of them. And you go to, I mean, I don't want to like spoil everything, so I'll throw out just a couple examples. But like you go out on an ice planet, and it's so inhospitable. It's like negative 50 degrees. You can even in your
Whatever you were just saying, Keith. Don't forget any word. You
I
need
want to
to
hear more
it needs
about it.
to it needs to sync up as though you didn't stop talking.
Okay. We're encoding
limit rate
frames.
difference. Perfect. I see it up again.
Okay.
Frame.
Sorry, folks. We went offline there. What was the last thing you all y'all heard us talking about?
Yeah, thanks for speaking up, by the way, people in the chat. It was helpful. If you see something, say something.
It's true.
I see something.
What is it, Brett? You are capable of defending this country just as much as any officer of the law.
What?
I agree. So basically, I'll just pick back up somewhere. But I was just talking about how the terraforming is really awesome. Like the planets change a lot, and then the things that annoy me would be there's a sequence of like zooming in on a planet that's really long. Like you zoom in on the galaxy and then in on the planet, like way close, and then you pull back out. I'm not sure why. It's kind of strange the way they zoom in and then pull back out. And I thought it was like only when you're switching planets. And I was like, well, that's not that big a deal. But what I didn't know is that it happens as you're mining for resources and stuff. You know, in the previous Mass Effect games where it's like, oh, I want to find, you know, Vespian gas or whatever it is, like whatever you're looking for. Like, oh, I found a signal on this planet, and you scan around the planet, then you send in a probe. Every time you switch those planets, it does that crazy sequence too, and the sequence takes longer than actually like scanning the planet for signals. So it does this long sequence, and then it says, oh, there's nothing on the planet. And then there's
cool.
this long sequence, and then they're like, oh, I found something. You send a probe in, and they're like, you got 500 iron. You're like, okay. And does this long sequence. So that part's annoying. But the main thing is there's just tons of menus, these little systems put in there, like sending people on missions, like they have in other games, and you know, with timers and things like that. And okay, well, where do you want to allocate your skill points? And then, which I'd be fine with. But then they have this crafting system, and they have every weapon in the game put there, so it's extremely overwhelming. And so it lists a bunch of sniper rifles right off the bat, and you don't know what's good. Like, so Jen made a sniper rifle, and it's absolutely terrible. Like, I can't see how that rifle would be effective ever. You know, it would do like the first shot, it would do 3 shots, the 3-shot burst, and the recoil would just jump it up a mile above the enemy's head with every successive shot. So like, I don't know who they think is out there, because all these games have these crafting systems put in. I don't think anybody really wants that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I just I mean, I don't want weird generic. I don't want you to replace like an interesting weapon system where like people are dropping cool unique weapons, or I'm unlocking them by doing certain missions or like research projects. I don't know. I wouldn't want you to replace that with generic crafting system where like these weapons have these particular stats and you boost them and they're named something generic and there's 500 of them. Yeah, because they did the same thing in Dragon Age. Although you could find other stuff in that game as well. So there's that. I mean, there's just like tons and tons of menus and different things, like different point systems and stuff you spend it on. And I mean, I like that to a certain extent in RPG, but you know, customization, stuff like that. But it's just a little overwhelming. So you may find yourself just ignoring a lot of them and not spending what you earn.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I'm pretty excited to play it. Just I think the exploration seems pretty cool, and I think that's what a lot of reviews agreed on, is that it felt more exploratory than the previous Mass Effect games. So I would say that's an area in which it improved on the previous ones. That's about all I got.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I was holding off on purchasing it. I think I knew that I was still probably gonna get it, but I didn't want to get it on release. Didn't really have much of a real reason other than, you know, it was mixed. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm still going to play it even though it has mixed reviews, so why would I wait, I guess? I don't know.
The thing is, if you have other games, see, my plan is, and I mean, technically we already have it for console, so I'll consider it, but I'm really considering, I'm going to wait regardless, I think, and just wait and see, okay, what patches do they put out? Because, like, I mean, Mass Effect 3 had crazy patches, like, let alone this game, they say they're working on stuff. Patches for animations, patches for, you know, other things, bugs, certainly. And then I'm going to wait and see what mods come out for the PC, because and I don't know to what extent mods are allowed, but this could be a game that could dramatically benefit from a good modding community, and it's exactly the kind of game that, if allowed, would attract a big modding community. It's tough to say because the previous Mass Effect games did have a big modding community, and so did the Dragon Age games. But this one in particular, I mean, ever since EA bought BioWare, they've been a little more limiting on that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see.
No, I was actually reading an interesting article speaking about people talking about EA and their restrictions on, how you publish and things like that. And I think it was actually a BioWare dev who specifically said, you know, the thing about working for or having EA be your publisher is not so much that they restrict your ability to do what you want, it's that they give you too much money. And then what happens is you end up getting self-conscious about spending too much of EA's money, and it's actually, they tell you take as much time as you want, use as much money as you need, and it actually gets a bit overwhelming from a developer's perspective, because then you get huge amounts of scope creep.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they begin overspending their publisher's money, and even though EA is saying take as much time as you need, they feel like the implication was take as much time as you need, but hey, really, you should do this now. So it sounds like they're actually fairly accommodating until, I think, the crunch time. You know, devs may set an unrealistic expectation on themselves. They may be their own worst enemy. Not the devs, but maybe more the project managers.
Absolutely.
And again, EA, I don't think is as much the bad guy, so much as they are the public face of the bad guy. And they're used to that, and that's what they're expected to be. So EA is the bad publisher who is the devil, but maybe they're not in some cases. Because, again, I think it was BioWare, a developer specifically said, they gave us all the money and time that we could have needed. They were not the ones that rushed us. Interesting perspective.
I could absolutely see that, too. I mean, in terms of scope creep, if you're talking about like all of these crazy different systems, like in the new Mass Effect game, there's tons of there's just tons of these systems, point systems. It seems sort of like, I mean, they are what they are, but they seem sort of like half-assed. Like they don't have that much depth. They're just these shallow systems, and like send people on missions, and they'll come back and get you credits and resources and things, and you spend those on little meager other systems, like our crafting system, which is mildly, shallow, and you can't, the weapons you get out of it won't be that unique. So like you can really see that how you would get this crazy scope creep, and probably at a certain point someone, whether it is a project manager at BioWare, whether it's someone from EA, says like, okay, yeah, but this has to be, it's gone on for a while, it has to be done by this time, and then the things just, you could see that as an explanation for how maybe the facial animations were like, maybe they made sacrifices, like systems didn't get as much depth as they should have, or these facial animations weren't quite perfect. And I mean, you can see that stuff in Mass Effect 3, or at least how it becomes more mainstream in some ways, simplified in some ways, but focuses more on the action and things like that.
Yeah.
Although that's, I guess, a different issue.
Cool. Well, that's good news again. Like I was saying, I was kind of holding out on buying it, and now I definitely will. But I've got the Zelda thing going on, and
Sure, and maybe you can get a discount on PC and get some mods or something.
Brett, you want to tell us about Nier Automata?
Yeah, so Nier Automata.
Automata.
I think it's Nier Automata is a new game that just came out for I think it's PS4 and PC, and it's a Japanese as hell game where you play as an android who seems like I'm not super far into the game, and I know that there's like a bajillion different endings, but so it seems like you're an android whose sole purpose is to basically destroy other robots. And right now it seems like there's this really weird moral issue where like I'm a robot killing other robots, and I just kind of listen to the humans and do what they say. And
I know that game.
It's interesting the way that this game sort of gives the player like agency in the story, in that you can. So the cyborg you play as is 2B, and like the number 2 and the letter B, and then that's how she's identified. And like at the end of everything they say like all hail humans or something like that. And so they're very obviously like indoctrinated to worship humans and whatever. And I don't know, I don't want to get too far into this story because it seems really, really complex and ridiculous in typical anime fashion. But I'm loving it. I think it's really cool, and it's gonna go a lot of cool places. Because like the whole, they talk to each other about how you're not supposed to have emotions and stuff. The cyborg's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to have emotions. Stop asking me questions like that." And like really interesting stuff like that. And so you can sort of make choices in the game based on whether you want to be emotionless or if you want to have emotion, and they'll question you in the game based on that. It's really interesting, really, really interesting the way that the story is set up. But so the game itself, I got it thinking that it was like a third-person action game, and I started playing it, and it was like a top-down shooter for a while. And I was like, well, this is interesting. And then all of a sudden, it's like a side-scrolling game. And so throughout the whole course of this whole game, you're like transitioning really well between like a really competent top-down shooter, a really competent side-scrolling platformer with combat elements, and then also a really, really competent third-person action-style game.
That sounds cool.
It's really, really
It's
cool,
pretty cool,
especially because of the way that they do it. I mean, sorry, I gotta readjust myself, and it's not easy. So I mean, there's these action sequences, especially boss fights, are just riddled with like different transitions where you're all of a sudden you're like side-scrolling, and then you get into your ship and you have to do like a top-down section and destroy all of the parts of this gigantic robotic thing, and then you go into third person on top of the thing and like try to kill this thing. It's like, oh man, like the transitions in this game are kind of what make it for me. And I've noticed it especially with the music, is each piece of music. And this game has like a sort of a more reserved version and then like a really epic version. It's like symphonic orchestra style music. So it
I love that.
Oh, it just gets me pumped up, and like, you hear that you hear that music transition, and like, oh, it's so sick. Like, I got this game kind of not really knowing what to expect, and I'm really pleased with it so far. But it sounds like I have a lot to go with it.
That sounds
Yeah,
great.
Man, yeah, I'm
Would you
like
say,
practically
like,
out of breath.
how's like the combat and stuff like?
It
Would you
feels
say it's
awesome.
mostly third person, or is it like all over the place?
It's pretty all over the place. Like,
Yeah, I had
even
no
in just
idea.
regular traversal, like just a town that you visit is all in 2D side scrolling, and then you leave it and then it's just 3D. It's really, really neat. But none of it feels tacked on or bad or annoying to play. Like, it's all kind of awesome. the way that all comes together. It's a really, really neat package that they've come up with. So there was the first game, Nier, came out, I don't know how long ago, probably like 10, maybe 5 or 10 years ago now.
Oh, this is a sequel. I did not know that.
Sort of. I don't know if it's exactly a sequel, but so basically I'm pretty sure they worked with the company that made the original Nier worked with Platinum Games, I think. I know I gotta look it up. It's either Platinum or Grasshopper, one of those Japanese, yeah, Platinum Games. So basically they came up with this crazy idea, and then Platinum handled like the combat and the gameplay and stuff. And yeah, it's a really neat game. I thought the enemy design would get kind of stale, but they have managed to keep you're just facing these like spherical looking robots kind of the whole time, but the way they vary it is really cool. And a lot of enemies, actually, you don't even need to attack. You can just walk by them, and they don't attack you, and you don't attack them. And so that's kind of more into like the moral ground of it. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's cool. It was between that and Horizon. I keep hearing really great things about Horizon, but I'm just saving that for when there aren't
you'll
so
get it
many other
eventually.
games.
And you can just like enjoy it for what it is, rather than like worrying about
Yeah.
hype or whatever.
And so I'm just like, I do want to play Mass Effect as well, but I just couldn't imagine choosing to play that over like any of the other games that are out right now.
There's
Yeah, I
so
agree.
many.
You know, like, I'm gonna finish Nier hopefully within the next week, because Persona comes out on Tuesday. So I don't know.
I almost feel like
Great.
with Mass Effect 2, it's like something where you might want to wait until like negative hype has died down.
Maybe also see what the
Yeah.
DLC situation is going to be like, because honestly, Mass Effect 2 had some of the best DLC that was worth buying of almost any other game, almost any game that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Had, Lair of the Shadow Broker, in my opinion, is one of the best DLCs
Oh, yeah, that was
that's
a
ever
great
been
one.
made. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were awesome. Yeah, so I don't know, Nier Automata. Yeah, I've been playing that. It's an interesting one for sure. I think you should, if you got some disposable income, you should check it out and not read or listen to anything I've said, I guess. It's a treat. And I finished the original Shovel Knight campaign for the first time as well. That game is hard. I don't know did you guys play that at all?
never played
I
it, but I've heard
dabbled.
great-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge, but it's pretty fun. I love the music. I keep listening to the music in my car. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody's played Shovel Knight at this point a little bit.
No, that's
It's a
what I'm
good
saying. I haven't. I have only played a little bit of it,
True.
so it's very good. I mean, I've heard good things, but I just never. I mean, if I can get it on, it's
Yeah.
PC, right?
It's on like literally every console
Okay.
ever now, I think. Like how indie games do that. Like, hey, we're gonna release our game that came out
Yeah.
10 years ago on this console now.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, it's really fun. It's it's a 2D side-scrolling action-adventure game, sort of stylized like classic Super Nintendo and Nintendo games, and you fight with a shovel.
Okay. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. A lot of the level designs are really cool, sort of how they handle traversal and whatnot. And then there's 2 other campaigns where you play as the Plague Knight and the Spectre Knight, and so they each have individual move sets and different methods of traversal and whatever. It's a really awesome game. Seems like a lot of work went into that. And yeah.
Sorry, I'm always really hesitant when I bring up,
Good one.
because I was considering, like, should I admit that I haven't played a lot of Shovel Knight, or really any at all? And I was like, Dad, you want to talk more about Shovel Knight? Because I don't really know about it. It's...
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to. I didn't like love Shovel Knight, but I liked it. It was good. It was something to play on the Switch, so that was cool. It just felt like it was good to play on there.
Okay. Good to know.
Good.
Man, there's so many good flippin' titles out that just came out with Automata, Horizon, Zelda. Just so many really good. Just so many really good.
Neo came out. That's all.
So
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying is like Mass Effect. People I'm not like gonna say they would love it or whatever, but I mean that would be. I think it would be pretty huge if it hadn't come out like around all these other games that are just raking in 10 out of 10s.
Yeah. So I want to talk more about Zelda, but I don't because we've beaten it to death. But I'm still playing, and I guess one of the other really fun things I like about that game is there's so much that's not required, and when you find something really neat, and you know it's just not required, it's just so much cooler. Like I mean, not really a spoiler. It's just a very vague. I was just climbing a mountain. I just saw a mountain. I'm like, I'm gonna climb that. So I climb a mountain. I get to the top, and there's just a giant black dragon, and it triggers like this giant, really cool combat. And while I'm doing it, I just realized I'm like, there was literally no incentive for me to come up here. It was just a mountain, and it wasn't until I was over halfway up when I just saw a giant dragon curled around the top. And you know what? I'm pretty much done with the game. Done with the game in the sense that I've I could finish it, but I'm still running around and doing stuff. And at no point did anything happen where I would have been required to go up there. And there's so many instances like that where there's just so much stuff. It's just all over the place, and there's literally no reason you would have to go there. No one's just like, hey, you should go check this thing out. You just go because an area looks, you just think you're like, there's probably something up there, right? There's probably like some rupees or a good weapon, and you get up there, and it was just a giant dragon with like a really unique event. So it was just really cool. And by the way, there's like 1 million mountains, so I don't think I'm really giving anything away. Because there's so many different peaks that you can climb that I don't really feel like this is giving much of anything away. But I
love stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna love it. You and Jen both are gonna love it if that's what you're into, because it just feels so rewarding when you find something because you know that you were never pointed to go to it. You just find it. It really, really rewards you for that exploration. I love it so much. And I can't emphasize how much fun it is. Oh my god. And I'm going to play it after the podcast. I'm going to play it. I was playing right before the podcast. I'm going to play right after the podcast. It's just a treat. Every time I play it, I love it. So, still sticking with it.
Are you trying to finish it soon, or like get to the end game stuff?
I definitely want to get all the shrines. The Korok seeds is a lost cause, but I do want to get enough to fully do what you can do with those, which doesn't require you to fully.
Did you see what you get when you find all the Korok?
Yes.
All 900 of the Korok.
And I love it. I don't know if that was like supposed to be super cheeky by Nintendo for the reasons people are saying, but it is really funny.
Probably. I mean, is it a spoiler to say what you get? I don't really.
I almost want to know. Like, we can give a moment because I know that I'm not gonna do it. So like.
Yeah, no. But I mean,
really
the whole part of the Koroks is kind of its own little thing to discover. So I don't want to. So without really discussing what they are and what their purpose is, there are 900 little discoverables in the game. 900. They're all over the place. They're everywhere. And if you get all 900, I think if you get about half of that, you can experience their full effect, their full reward. But if you get all 900, what you get is a literal piece of poop. It's a golden piece of poop.
Yeah, it just sits in your inventory. You don't do anything with
it. So it's just sort of like a fuck you, like why would you do this kind of thing. And I think
that's amazing.
I don't know, again, if Nintendo really did that on purpose per se, but I mean, I know they did it on purpose, but if it's for the reason people are saying, which is just sort of a slap in the face to completionists, like why would you do this kind of thing, you know?
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be kind of, right?
I hope that's why, like, yeah, we put all these collectibles in, but we only expect you to get, like, a decent amount of them. If you get all of them, like, well, that's just ridiculous. So,
yeah. So and I don't know, I know you're gonna love it. But all the stuff that we talk about on it, I just know you're gonna really have a blast. So I'm looking forward to you starting it. I hope you're enjoying Horizon, and I know when you're done with that, you're gonna like Zelda a lot too, because I think they're very similar in different ways. That doesn't make any sense. They're similar in certain ways, but they're obviously two very different games. But in the same exploration type way, they are similar. So. And then beyond that, I got LASIK surgery this week, which is not gaming related at all, but I just kind of want to talk about it because it was a really weird experience, and I just want to share it with everybody. So if you're not familiar, LASIK is laser vision correction. They used to use an actual blade, and what they do is they shave a part of your cornea in your eye. This is not for the squeamish, I apologize, but this literally happened to me, so I can talk about it. So if you have poor vision, I had a negative 425 prescription, so, it's not the worst or anything. There's plenty of people that have worse vision than that. I think you have to get to like a negative 11 or greater to be considered legally blind, to the point where corrective lenses couldn't even help you. But I was, I can't see without, well, now I can, but without glasses prior, I literally couldn't see. I can't see right now. Oh, God. What's happened?
Cry for help.
I was just talking about LASIK. And so I mean, it's really incredible. That's honestly the bottom line. It's so incredible. It was over in like 15 minutes tops. I was actually under the laser for actual surgery in like what felt like 7 to 8 minutes, and I sat up and I could see. It was that instant. It was incredible.
Wow,
like
that's ridiculous.
10,000 plus years of human history, of Homo sapien history, right? Back when we were fleeing some extinction event in Africa. In the last maybe 25, we've been able to correct vision impairments, and it's just, what a time to be alive. It's just incredible. I really couldn't recommend it more to people who are eligible candidates. It's scary. I think the majority of people who don't get it isn't because they aren't good candidates. It's either because of money, or it's because they get squeamish about the procedure, which I understand as well. But it really was not bad. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's not, I wouldn't want to repeat it. I mean, I would if I needed a touch up. It's not something I'd want to do every day, but it was for the cost of being mildly unpleasant for 5 minutes, no pain. I can just see with no aid anymore. It's wonderful.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I never need glasses again. We were going to the surgeons, and I'm like, oh, I should bring my glasses case, just in case, just so I don't want to lose my glasses. And I thought, no matter what the outcome is here, I'm not going to need these. Either it goes fine and I won't need them, or something goes horribly wrong and I definitely won't need them, because my vision will be worse. So I just thought I could throw these away, and there's literally no circumstance where I would still need these unless I show up and they say, oh, we were closed today or something. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It was cool.
Man.
We made an appointment where we're closed. Our mistake.
Come back
Happens all the time.
But it's definitely very pricey. If you're in a point in your life where you think you can afford it, and I think my wife and I both we were talking about it for the longest time. We both didn't like the idea of the procedure. It's just kind of freaky. But everyone we've talked to just said it was the best thing they've ever done. And our optometrist is great. This is what I'm sorry. I'm talking about our optometrist on the DPS podcast, but he's great. Because when we brought it up, he set our expectations perfectly. He's like, look, if you just Google LASIK, you're just going to read some of the worst shit that's going to scare you out of it, because everybody who has a bad experience, we're not good candidates. They're people that go to their first surgeon who's reputable, and that surgeon says, we're not going to perform the surgery on you. And then they go to someone else who's willing to, and then it goes wrong because they have a thin cornea or something. They're just not a good eligible candidate. And then those are all the horror stories you read. He's like, if you're a good candidate and you go to a reputable surgeon, you're not going to have a terrible horror story. The chances of it are so incredibly low. So he's like, the way he set the expectations for it were really good too, about how everybody needs reading glasses when they get older no matter what, so don't expect to have perfect vision forever, but this will fix your nearsightedness. I don't know. It was great. So I'm just recommending it to people out there if you can afford it, if you're in a point in your life. It's really life-changing.
I don't know. I read online that they said that this one optometrist, he puts the stuff in you that paralyzes you, and then he eats your eyeballs. And I don't want that to happen to me.
I don't want to go to that fellow, so I'm not going to have the procedure.
Did that happen to you?
He's the only one in my area.
Yeah, my insurance provider, like, if I didn't go to him, I would have to go out of network, and that can get pricey.
So it's like, do I go to the guy who eats the eyeballs, or nobody is really my only option because of insurance, man. Thanks, Obama, right? I thought that this would be free.
Healthcare. Fix healthcare. I got this guy trying to eat my eyeballs.
Keep your doctor, they say. All right, so that's enough. I'm sorry, I'm done talking about that. But it really, again, it was life-changing, so I had to bring it up and talk about it. Just do your research if you're thinking about it. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Oh.
As somebody with perfect vision, should I get...
Yes. Brett, you've already had eye surgery.
I have had laser eye surgery, which is radically different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think I talked about that on a podcast.
You did. I remember we talked about some injuries as children or something. So, big topic this week that I want to bring up is StarCraft Remastered was announced, and I know that you two aren't StarCraft players currently.
Can't wait. Oh.
But this is a big announcement.
It's going to be free, isn't it? That's cool.
So, the original StarCraft is going to be free. Then they are releasing a separate StarCraft Remastered, which I assume will not be free.
Well, that's still nice.
Yeah, so the original StarCraft, they're updating it, and it's coming out, and it's like 1.18. It's in the public test realm right now, and I think it's coming out in a day or two, and it's supposed to be just free. So everybody can just play the original StarCraft. And then Remastered, they just said summer. And this is a big announcement just because there were rumors, and I think I talked about it in previous podcasts. I'm like, these stupid rumors, everyone's going to be wrong. And they were, because they didn't announce it at BlizzCon. Everybody was like, it's definitely happening, and then it didn't happen. And I chuckled to myself because I am just a skeptic at heart. But then this happened, and I was very excited and surprised.
Yeah, it seems kind of against the grain for Blizzard as well. This is their first remaster, isn't it? I mean, people have been kind of clamoring for a Diablo 2 remaster for how long? I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is that my theory on this is I think this was planned for a while, but they were hiring new designers for their classic games departments. And I think because they were hiring, that was kind of started the rumors. Oh, they're looking to remaster these old games. And I think it was just like one or two spots. And what I theorize is there were just like a couple resources that were just plugging away at this. I wonder if it was really like a company-wide directive priority, or if it was just some guys, like one or two people's main jobs, but it wasn't company priority. And then they did it, and now it's going to be enormous. It's just going to be a huge hit because it's nostalgia central, right? I think my theory is a ton of people are going to go back and play it for about 3 months, and then remember how tedious it is to play and stop. But it's still going to be a huge commercial success.
Yeah, you think StarCraft 1's going to be a huge commercial success?
Yeah, I think the remaster is going to be a huge commercial success.
Maybe. I mean, I had a friend that I didn't expect to be into StarCraft, and he was like really excited about that. So you might be right based on my one friend that I have. So.
Well, just based on the StarCraft community, it's the StarCraft community is very divided up between Brood War and StarCraft 2 because people take it way too seriously. And the Brood War side of things is just nonstop complaints. They complain all the time. That's all they do, and it's gotten to the point where after 20 years, people are like, "Why are you still even here? Just you don't like the current StarCraft 2, just why are you still on the forums bothering us?" And so basically, now that this is coming out, I feel like both sides are appeased. StarCraft 2 has its own dev team, and then the Classic Games team put out this fancy schmancy StarCraft Remastered, and now both sides can be happy, and they'll still hate each other for whatever stupid reason, rather than just being happy with their individual games. But I think that it's a big deal for RTS in general. And just the publicity of it might just draw some people back into the genre. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Do you think they're gonna focus on like multiplayer at all, or?
Yes.
I don't even know what the first game had for multiplayer.
Yeah. So the first game had, what the first game had was it had LAN and it had BattleNet 1.0, which is sort of supported but is very clunky and hard to search for stuff now. It was great back in the day. People loved it, and they want the new arcade to be like that, but there are many reasons it can't be. We don't have to talk about that anyway. But it was BattleNet 1.0, and then what happened was the latter basically stopped being played, and all of the, specifically in Korea, all of the competitive matches went onto third-party mods like iCup. They're called iCup and Fish. they host all of these. They host all of the matches. They don't go over BNet 1.0 anymore. Everyone plays over these third-party tools. So Blizzard, I think, built support in for Fish. I think. And basically, they're trying to take over. They're trying to like retake that.
Yeah.
That set of tools, I should say, like bring them back in because they're like, this is our game. We're gonna retain control of it, I suppose. So it's just it's an exciting time for me. Again, I know you guys didn't really play but I know Keith, you were really into Diablo 2. So imagine if they remade Diablo 2. You know, people vote with your wallet and they see like, oh, people really love that we did this. All these 30-year-olds, nostalgia glasses, they all bought this. Why would we not remake Diablo 1 and 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's, I don't know, it's just pretty awesome in general. I didn't know what to expect with the remaster. I was like, I don't know if is it going to look the same? Is it going to look different? So, you know, it's definitely just sort of like, I mean, I don't know. What did you think in comparison, like graphically? Did you look at like the trailer, I assume? And
yeah, so it looks good. I will say. I mean, they took all the models and they just look. It's the same game at its core. All the weird, stupid pathing that was limited before, that made the game the way it was because of all the quirks of the original engine, are still there. They kept all those, which I think is really important. And
yeah, sure. I mean, if you're gonna try to bring back like the hardcore audience,
exactly, and that's what everyone's.
You want it to feel the same.
That's what everyone has been asking for. So it's exciting to see that they're actually doing that. And then there are people like, why not just make it in StarCraft 2? And it's like, well, that is StarCraft 2. Like, we don't need to do that. It is literally StarCraft 2 already. So I think, I don't know. I feel like it's a period where everyone can be a little satisfied, which is great. And I'm just happy to see what's really going to happen with this and see how I think it's going to be a commercial success. And I think that everyone's going to love it who wanted it. At the same time, not everybody wanted it, and they just don't have to play it. So looking forward to it.
So optimistic, Jayborino. I like to hear that.
I know. I'm usually murmur about this kind of shit. But
I know.
Now that it's actually happening, I didn't expect it to actually happen.
That's cool. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yes. If you didn't like StarCraft 2, you're going to struggle a lot with StarCraft 1.
Yeah. One day.
One day. So I don't really have much else to say on that other than it's an exciting time to be alive.
Maybe this will finally be my opportunity to play through the original StarCraft because I still haven't. I mean, I haven't. I'm sorry. Did you say if it was both, like if it was like Brood War and
yeah,
it was like the expansion? Okay, that's pretty awesome. Like this could be my opportunity to like finally play through the originals.
Yeah, and again, it's free. I mean, if you get the original version before the remaster, it's just completely free. So
that's nuts.
That's your chance.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see more stuff like that, especially in terms of like Blizzard games. Like, I mean, I think that you couldn't have picked. I don't know if you just pulled it out of your butt, but like, I don't think you could have picked a better example for like how I would feel if they said, "Hey, we're making a remastered version of Diablo 2 and we're re-releasing it." So there's gonna be like, you know, maybe we'll address like some quirks and maybe like add a couple little things here and there, make it look better, and like, I mean. And it's free if you bought the original. I would 100% play it again, and I'd be excited about it. And just the sheer like audience that it would pull in at once, you know, it would be like. I think that'd be really exciting if they did something similar.
I do have to clarify. So the remastered version is not free.
Yeah, right. Just the original. Right?
The original is free. They're patching the original so that I think it's actually the maps for the original. So, like, there were used map custom maps. Imagine if they remade Warcraft 3, all the maps, all the arcadey used map settings for Warcraft 3 would be compatible with the remaster. That's what they're doing with StarCraft, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
We could play Dota remastered.
We could play Dorta.
Yeah, Dota 1.
Oh, we could play Dota 2, guys. Really looking forward to Dota 2.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. I'm just a little bit confused. I thought that StarCraft 1 already came out.
Isn't it weird though that that's what people want these days. They want a game that's
Remakes.
already out.
Isn't that what people were complaining about last generation?
I guess, yeah.
The remasters and stuff.
I just think that like if they do it right, and it's like stuff like Wind Waker, I may have never played, but they remastered it and it was amazing. Like, I think they did an incredible job with it. So I think there's a right way to do it, and also, like, free if you had the original game. Right? Wait. What was it? Like, what's free? It's like
it's just free to everybody. You don't need the original game to just play StarCraft, the original StarCraft.
And then the remaster.
The remaster will be a paid game.
Do we know what the price point is yet?
No.
I don't know. That could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
If it's a reasonable price point.
Agreed. I don't know. It's just exciting. I've never. I mean, I am victim to the same. I make fun of everything, you know, about like, oh, everything's just this garbage nostalgia. But I am a victim of it too. This is pretty exciting because I'll buy it and play it, and I think they're gonna see a lot of success, and I hope we do see some other games get remade like that.
Yeah, it's like garbage nostalgia until it's the thing that you're nostalgic about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I recognize why I'm buying it, though. I think a lot of people don't really understand why they are bonkers about something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that it's like I make fun of things like I go and check. We go to PAX and I'm looking at like indie game stuff. I'm like, oh, cool, another game that's based around nostalgia for nostalgic graphics. It looks like the
More
original
retro.
like, I don't know. So it's like, oh, neat, another one of those. But if they said, hey, I'm remastering Diablo 2, or hey, we're remastering like Star Wars Jedi Knight or something like that, and like improving the models, and I would be like, oh my god, that's so exciting.
Well, and part of it too is I think, Brett, well, you both said it, is are they doing it right? I think, you know, they're bringing the resolutions into the 21st century, and are they preying on people? Like, I feel like I know that you guys really liked it, but I feel like the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess Remastered added a few quality of life things, but I feel like those were more predatory and holdovers than actual re-released remasters.
Yeah,
and if I could get them cheap, I'll play them.
I agree less about Wind Waker, but Twilight Princess, I agree.
Okay. Few.
Did you play the Twilight Princess Remaster?
I did not.
Wait, does that exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. I was just making sure. Did you, Brett?
I did. It was largely the same game. I mean, like, I talked about it back on the podcast, how like the whole game is like reversed, but
oh, that's right. I remember.
But that's solely because the motion controls on the Wii. Like, if you had played the GameCube version, it would be the same thing, where the game is reversed because of the motion controls, and they wanted the arm to be right. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they wanted Link to be right-handed, so they just reversed the whole fucking game. That's just so weird.
That's the craziest thing I've heard.
But yeah, honestly, there wasn't that much added to that game. I don't even think there was like amiibo support. Maybe there was, but I don't know. I felt like I was playing the same exact game.
And I mean, that's fine. You know, people wanted to play it, but again, like, if you're gonna remaster something, make it a fucking remaster. You know, keep the same game, but really add those quality of life things that people have been asking for. I mean, yeah, Fast Sail is nice, I suppose. And I agree. I think Wind Waker was definitely more of a remaster. But, you know, there's some other stuff that wasn't. And, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I don't really know what else to say about it, but it happened this week, and gotta talk about it.
Gotta talk about it.
Gotta talk about it. That's what my channel's all about, you know?
Gotta talk about it.
All right.
All right.
Did you want to do an anecdote?
Guys got any good anecdotes? Okay, if there was one game besides Diablo or StarCraft that you could see remastered, what would it be?
Final Fantasy VII because they are doing it.
Okay, not that one because it's happening.
Ooh, Brett had a good one.
What? Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time.
They did that. That's done.
Oh, dang it! But I mean, like, okay, I'm thinking
Imagine
like
a proper one though.
a remake, I guess.
No, yeah, I guess a remake is different. Okay, you can do both. That's
remake
fine.
Metroid Prime.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Wii version of that is really good, but it's the same exact game. It's not really. But that game is pretty much perfect as it is, though.
I agree.
I'm like trying to think about the games that I spent like a lot of time on. The funny thing is I'm coming up with a lot where like everyone that I can think of that I like really spent sufficient time on, like there has been a remaster except for Diablo 2 and Star Wars Jedi Knight 2. Which I feel like they would never make a remaster Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, but the only other thing I thought of is WoW, and then I thought, well, they like sort of I mean, they kind of did that. Like, I don't know if they called it WoW 2.0 or something like that, but they totally updated all the models, and they've been improving things gradually. So it kind of is a remastered version of itself.
Yeah, in a way.
Hey, I was going to mention also, new Hearthstone expansion is coming up for anybody who's playing it. So they've been doing like daily rewards and stuff like that, just for like logging in. You get, a pack, or you get this much gold, or you get something like that. And then I think the actual release is April 6th, and it's like Secrets of Ungoro or something of Ungoro. About like Ungoro creator, so it's like gonna be really beast centric, I think, like dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Dinos.
Yeah, so I mean, Hearthstone's just Hearthstone. Still, it's just itself.
I'd like a
Like,
remaster
even-
of Hearthstone.
Remaster of Hearthstone.
I think we can all agree, right?
I'd like
Yeah.
a remaster of Magic the Gathering. Not like the computer game, just the I want to see the cardboard, but like the cardboard cards, but just in like HD.
Alright.
Maybe if they
Maybe
just
with some
print
cool
the
new
actual
protocol.
cards, that would
You
really
should
be
ask Jayborino. He's got HD vision now.
It's true.
Post surgery.
I'm kind of like, it's weird that I can say like I'm jealous of that, because my vision is pretty good. It's like perfect up close, nearsighted. And I mean, technically I'm supposed to have like a minor astigmatism, which is like a defect at all distances, but I can't really tell up close. And I could like get by walking around during the day without glasses if I really needed to, but it's slowly like it's still changing, so I probably wouldn't be a good candidate for it. But it's just kind of crazy because like you've worn glasses as long as I've known you, and then you can just go in 15 minutes like freaking the fix. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is
So
incredible.
cool.
What a time. to be
Probably,
alive.
probably eventually, depending on whether like, if my vision gets worse and stuff like that. Jen should get it eventually, like as soon as she can, I guess.
Does she have real bad
But her
eyes?
vision's changing. Yeah. I mean, see, I don't know what the definition of legally blind is. I mean, obviously she's like without glasses, she can't function basically. But obviously she can be helped with. She can have perfect vision with corrective lenses. So it's tough, and it keeps changing. So for that reason, it might not be like a great candidate. But even if they told you like, okay, well, your vision will keep changing at the rate that it's changing now, like depending on, she'll be working at a hospital, so she'll have pretty good health insurance, I think. Like, if she could get a reasonable price on it, even if they're like, yeah, well, it'll keep getting worse, but just, like we'll fix it and then you can fix it again, I think it would still be worth it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and depending on, if they say you're a good candidate, you get free touch-ups. If they told me if you do all your post-op care, if you follow your post-op care and you get an annual eye exam, then you just get free touch-ups for life.
Oh my god. Well,
They're
that's
gonna touch
amazing.
up
In
your
that case,
eye?
Well, I mean, the idea is like you wouldn't need a touch-up if you were a good candidate in the first place. So they probably don't offer that to everybody. But because like you
But
said,
that's
Jen's
super
vision keeps
interesting.
changing. They probably
So-
wouldn't.
yeah. It's very interesting.
Probably wouldn't offer the same thing. But
I'll tell you that. But that it's like if you are told that it adds confidence. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
If they tell you you are a good candidate, and we believe that because we will give you free touch-ups for life as long as you proceed with your post-op care. Like that instills confidence.
Oh,
You're like,
sure.
Oh, okay, so you are accountable for your actions. That's good.
yeah. Yeah, I got my
that's
vision
fantastic,
remastered, right?
Yeah.
That counts as my
Yeah, that's pretty
remastered
good.
game.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you talked about it because I was like fascinated to hear about it.
Yeah, it's
Still
really hard to
feel-
talk about,
yeah.
and instill that level of kind of wonder. I don't know. It's like being a kid waking up on Christmas.
Ah,
It seems they've sent all the
That's
shuttles
wild.
we need. We did our best.
Oh, apparently I just failed the mission I was playing. I thought we won. Oh well.
sucker.
It's what you get when you're not paying much attention. But
That's what you get when you let your heart win.
whoa.
El Martino 92 said, "I love how Jay talks about his eye. Stukov on the screen. It looks like the worst victim of failed eye surgery."
It's true. His eyes are like red spirals.
For those of you who played Warcraft, I posted on his Facebook wall the day of his surgery, and I was like, Justin post-op, and I posted a picture of Illidan Stormrage from Warcraft with the bandana tied around his eyes and
the green glow.
the green glow.
Okay, and I replied with something that I thought was hilarious.
I don't think I ever saw it. No, wait, what was it?
I told Tara to look up a picture of Darth Vader with his mask off from Return of the Jedi
Yes.
and say,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
look on you with my own eyes.
That was a good one.
I don't think
That was
anybody
better than
saw
mine.
it, but I was really happy about it. I was like laughing to myself. I had my eyes closed. I'm sitting there. I'm like, make sure you look up this picture. He looks white. He looks like Uncle Fester. That's the right picture.
I was like wondering how. I was thinking like I bet that was like dictated on your behalf.
Well, they gave me a Valium, so when I came home, I went right to sleep. And when I woke up, my eyes really didn't feel irritated, and I could open my eyes and see. Like, I had to open my eyes to go to the bathroom and eat. And they told me, they're like, you can see. They we just advise that you keep your eyes closed the whole first day. But I could open my eyes and see, because the next day I was messaging you guys, and you're like, Justin, are you looking at us through like a pinhole or something?
Oh man.
Good stuff. Don't worry, I won't talk about LASIK next week. I'll play some more games, and we'll
Let's change it into the LASIK podcast.
the LASIK podcast. I'm excited to play more Zelda, though. I gotta say, I don't know, it's just one of those games. I'm like, I look forward to playing it. A lot of other games, once you're like 75% of the way through, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna finish this now.
Yeah,
You don't rush home to play. It's great.
I was about to say like I'm jealous, and then I was like I could literally play that at any time. Like I'm just, what's wrong with me? But like I'm just, it part of it is like, but here's the thing: is that maybe what's gonna happen is I should play Mass Effect first and then play Zelda, because it just like feels really good knowing that like the best game is still waiting for me. I'll just never play it.
You could just never play Mass Effect.
Jen's playing Mass Effect, right?
It's kind of what I'm thinking is gonna
She
happen
is.
to me.
What you should do is play Zelda, and then you can flip games, swap them. Well, no, you're playing Horizon though,
Switch.
which a lot of people are saying Horizon is as good. It sold, I think it was number one seller in some.
It's a
European countries.
fantastic game, and I just love how like it seems like they cut out of the filler and stuff from games like. I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff isn't really filler, but like, I was talking about how they like sort of streamline the quest rewards. So like, you don't even really pay attention. You just do them, and then you get stuff, and you get better, and but like a lot of this stuff. Like it's not overly long. I don't think there's like lots of fetch quests and things like running back but the thing that I love is like it's like Uncharted plus it's just like Uncharted plus The Witcher or something like that. The climbing is amazing. It's got like a verticality that you don't see in open world games that I've never seen in an open world game.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like Zelda's got a lot of that too. So I'm probably like preaching to the choir, but yeah, but it's just pretty awesome in that way. Like I don't know.
I think one of the other things, I don't know what it's like in Horizon, maybe you can shed some light on the side quests, but in Zelda I've noticed a lot of the side quests, the rewards aren't good. Like they're just like shitty amounts of money and stuff. But I've noticed a lot of the side quests, the purpose for their existence is basically the game saying, hey, did you know you could do this cool thing? Like, hey, did you know there's a skeleton horse you can ride? And without getting the side quest, you might have never found it. So it just sort of points you, it just sort of gives you mild, just little mild shoves in certain directions, but they're not super obvious, and a lot of the stuff you might just find without picking them up anyway. And then you do something really complex. I actually did a side quest, and I finished it today, and I went and turned it in, and the guy's like, what, were you expecting a reward? And he just walked away. You get nothing.
That's fantastic.
Good stuff.
Oh, so you're only helping me out because you thought you were gonna get something out of it. Huh? Real nice.
And I will say, Brett, because you were talking about the voice acting. I mean, I said I didn't like it, and you followed up and said some of them are pretty good. And as I've recovered more of the memories, I agree. I think most of the male voice acting is good, but the female voice acting, specifically Zelda's, is not.
Yeah, which is pretty much a bummer.
I know, the most important one.
I know. Yeah, maybe it might sound better in Japanese.
They're
But
gonna
yeah, it's pretty sad.
The Nintendo Switch U is coming out next year, and they're going to remaster Breath of the Wild. And the only change is that Zelda's going to have a different voice actress for the North American version.
Oh, finally.
And everyone's going to rave about it. The blood moon rises once again. Please be careful, Link. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm sick of that. It also seems bugged, right? Like, it comes up and then it seems like nothing has changed, and it happens like multiple times a day.
Really? I had a Lionel respawn right on top of me and kill me instantly.
Oh, wow, nice.
I think it happens every 6 or 8 days.
Oh man, I forgot to say something sick about Nier.
Let's hear it. I haven't signed us out yet.
Yeah, I guess you haven't, have you? In Nier, so the way that your skills work is you have a chip, and you have to plug in different little modules into the chip, and it can only hold a certain number of things. And so basically you're spending a lot of time optimizing which chips you want to be equipped at a time. And so there's like attack based ones, there's like, you heal based on your based on killing enemies and stuff, that sort of idea. You get better defense, whatever. So the interesting part of this system is that each part of the game is in this chip. So like your entire HUD is in this chip. You've got your HP gauge, your XP gauge, your skill gauge. So you can take all of those out in order to gain better benefits from other chips that you have, like better attack or whatever. And so interestingly enough, one of your chips is the OS. And so you can actually remove the OS, and apparently it ends the game. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty excited to do that.
And like someone like fought for that. They're like, no, it's
sick.
Like, just let them do it. Like, let them take out the OS if they want to.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
unique. It's really, really neat.
I mean, does it end like you can reload a save, or it literally just ends your
like
save file?
it shows you the credits. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I don't know the exact consequence of it. Like if you'd just be able to reload or something, but I figure I'll try after I finish this current playthrough.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, this was a nice podcast. A lot of varied topics. It's like a golden month here in game releases. So I'm sure we'll come back next week.
It was a little dry for the winter season, but oh boy.
You know what else is dry? My freshly lasered eyes.
Freshly lasered.
No, but really, I need to go put some drops in. So this is the Damage Per Second podcast, signing out.